All right. Thank you so much. We have Coach Sara here with us. Sara is an outstanding, excellent, I like to call her, she's the Swiss Army knife of coaches. Sara, I feel like, is so universal and can handle so many different things. I feel like there's nothing that you don't have great insight on. I look forward to your insights all the time in our meetings. So thanks so much for joining us to get our clients and our audience a little chance to get to know you a little bit better. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for such a warm introduction, John.
So my first question, something I know that the clients are going to want to know, where does your personal journey into this space begin? Why did coaching become something so important to you?
Yeah, let's see. For myself, the majority of my professional experience was in the digital advertising space. And as a former marketing leadership role over the past 11 and a half years at an agency, one sliver of my role was the professional and leadership development coaching of my teams. And if I'm being honest, I always thought advertising was interesting, but it was truly that people component that I really lived and breathed for. And so over my time and tenure, that question around what's next for me, what is my purpose, how can I be more fulfilled with my next steps, just grew bigger and bigger. And that's what really led me to desire expanding my coaching beyond the corporate space and beyond that one smaller realm. And it wasn't actually until about 4 years ago, though, that my husband and I went through a weight loss program together. And I was paired up with a health coach. And that was my first experience with health coaching. And I found it to just be so immensely valuable in moving me forward and finally getting off that roller coaster of weight ups and downs and eating disorder for over 20 years. And that's what really motivated me to move forward. And that's what sparked my interest in expanding my coaching as well beyond the corporate space and into these broader modalities like health and wellness and life coaching. And lo and behold, that's what led me to expanding my coaching training and network and ultimately Alma La Vida.
Wow, so that really goes into some detail talking about why you're such a universal Swiss Army knife. You have such a depth of experience and such a breadth of experience with the various things that you've been through. So let me ask you, what are some of your favorite challenges to help other people overcome? Do you have a particular favorite type of challenge or type of difficult scenario that you really love digging in with a client?
Yeah, that is so tough because, like my life motto, why choose when you can have it all? It's kind of the same thing with coaching challenges and client successes. But I would say that in general, when I'm able to support my clients in just overcoming whatever mental blocker is holding them back on the leadership side, that blocker might be stopping them from getting to that next level promotion. Or on the health side, it might be that blocker that's stopping them from really implementing that solid sort of morning routine that's going to get them motivated and moving forward with their health. Definitely the passion, I'd say, with the biggest success is when I can toe both of those lines truly. So when there's a win on the health side with that core sort of foundation, then I so often see a win on the professional side as well, whether that be on the leadership component, or I'd say the big one that truly energizes me because it so resonates with my own personal journey is helping my clients to identify that true passion and clarity with their own career next steps.
Wow. And that's something that I know I struggle with. Probably 90% of people in America probably struggle with this idea that you have to break everything out and kind of solve only one problem at a time. So if you're focused on your career, maybe you're eating and sleeping terribly, or if your health isn't great, it's because you're not putting any time and effort into your career. Do you see that some of the best way forward is to tackle that as if it's one thing instead of breaking it apart? Is that tell me more about how you think about that?
100%. Yes, that is how I see things. It's like how that saying goes, how you do one thing is how you do anything. So oftentimes I might have a client come to me with a particular career focused sort of challenge or area. But then when we look underneath the hood, and I like to do this as part of my initial sessions, is for us to do that overall life assessment and understand how things are going in those personal aspects as well. That's really what is where that magic sort of happens, oftentimes in that personal side. The mental or physical sort of habits or strategies, oftentimes when there is movement there, I believe when we have that healthy foundation, that core established, that's where we can build and expand on in those other areas like leadership or career. So of course there's always that consideration around prioritization and timing, but truly when you can have an integrated approach, I think that's where you absolutely see the most movement.
That is absolutely fantastic advice. I mean, that's something that I definitely have to remind myself, and I know I'm not the only one. Give me your top tip, something to take away if somebody was just taking away from watching this interview. What's a top tip for somebody that is trying to spin all those plates at once? You know, maybe they are trying to, you know, have the career, have the family, have the health, sleep right, eat better, and it's not that any one thing is necessarily a challenge, it's the spinning all the plates at once. What's your top tip for integration, for making the way you do one thing the way you do everything?
The word that comes to mind is that top tip is intentionality. So any way that you can create more intentionality in your day is going to be so key to accomplishing all of those things. And my top tip for how you can create that intentionality would be with your own sort of morning routine. So we all know sleep is so important. And with that though, still carving out that time and space in the morning before you immediately jump out of bed and check your email, or oftentimes many of us are in bed and jumping on the social media or the email and just immediately what's next, instead of taking that moment to even be intentional about how do I want my day to look? What is most important there? And taking those measures to take a few deep breaths. That's the simplest form of meditation, or whether it be journaling to be clear about what some of those thoughts are that are floating around so you can start thinking about your next steps. It doesn't have to be all of those things, but just taking some time to do some of the things to get grounded. It's amazing then how the rest of your day can continue from there.
That's such an interesting perspective, how much it can all start from your beginning routines and what you set up and do at the beginning. Because I'm also one of those people. I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up. I'm constantly trying to put out fires. Do you tell me about putting out fires? In fact, what's your perspective on that? How do you feel about somebody that feels like they're perpetually behind? And how do they get started doing something like this, beyond just contacting you, of course?
Right. Beyond that piece, there are just different levels of creating more of that intentionality. And I think so many of my clients, when they feel like they are constantly behind and playing that catch up and everything's a fire, then it can feel really overwhelming to get started and even think about, I barely have time for 1 minute. How can I even think about carving 30 minutes in my morning? And that can often get them stuck in terms of not moving forward at all. And so my suggestion in those cases is to really just even take a simple few minutes to pause in those moments. As soon as you notice that there is a fire drill sort of happening, you're feeling how you don't want to be feeling, or you don't know what's next, in those moments, it's so key, truly even taking a few deep breaths. It's amazing how you can shift your physiological state to then be able to come up with a solution that otherwise might not have felt possible in that moment. So keeping it simple, even a few seconds to pause can be amazing in those moments to create some of that clarity. And then we build from there. We build those seconds into minutes, into hours, through a longer term roadmap.
I absolutely love it. I love it. And everyone, hopefully you're seeing this and getting some great feedback and insights. We're going to post, if you're watching this video, there's a ton of ways to contact Sara. I know that Sara is also incredibly prolific. She not only does her one-on-one coaching, but she hosts great events. She runs fantastic workshops. She just produces a ton of great material. So last thought, Sara, if somebody were to reach out to you today, and we've got plenty of links for them to do so, and they were to reach out to you, what would you want them to come to the table ready to ask or ready to do? How do you want somebody to approach you? Or is there no wrong way, or is there some specific thing you want someone to have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that my only ask of clients for anyone who's ready to get started is truly to show up, number one, and number two, be committed to the process. So with that, I often tell potential clients who want to know, how am I going to get my results, or how long is it going to take, what it's going to look like, that's okay that they don't have those answers right away. And to be honest, I don't have all those answers too. That's something that we're going to design together through the process. But what you have to be committed to is showing up and putting in that work. You don't have to know the how to get to your desired results. We're going to figure that out together. But you have to want it, and you have to believe that you can get it through our commitment and our work together. If you come up simply with those things, then absolutely, that's where the magic happens. And then the other piece I would add is just that openness and that transparency, that honesty is so key with that self-reflection, because with coaching, there's truly no right or wrong answer to how you are or are not doing things. But we have to know about it and to share about it to be able to really design a tailored experience that's going to help move you forward. And if you have those ingredients, then we're set up for success.
I love it. Thank you so much. Everyone, you heard it. You have a great chance to meet Coach Sara. If you're ready to make that change in your life, if you have that intentionality, you have that desire, click on the link, pick up the phone, send the email. We have a bunch of ways to get in contact. Coach Sara, thank you so much for your time. I know the clients really appreciated getting a chance to get to know you. It was really wonderful getting this chat with you.
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure.